Open your eyes.
If you are wondering why everything going on in the world feels so terribly off, then you have come to the right place. A veil has been put over the eyes of humanity. Evil people in high places have been hiding the truth in plain sight and building a false reality on lies and deception for far too long. And now, their time is coming to an end. It's time to fight back, to wake up, and to begin an uprising. Now is a time for judgment.
This is a time for judgment. Welcome to today's show. The article headline you're reading is not from The Onion. It is real. I've said that many times because it's just turned into the mainstream media, telling us things that sound so ridiculous. You would think it was coming from satire. But this is from Vice, and I'm shocked that Vice, which is extremely liberal, liberal platform, liberal website, liberal videos, et cetera, would even post this. But I guess they're posting it because they want people to get ready for it and desensitize them to it, because then they'll probably just listen and do it. And that's that scientists and the military want us to eat food made from plastic. That's right, made from plastic. DARPA-funded research seeks to tackle the climate crisis and global hunger by producing a protein powder from plastic and bacteria. Isn't that just what you want, right? Not only can you eat plastic, so next time you drink out see a plastic container, just go bite it and eat it, right? And while you're at it, if you want some bacteria, just reach into the toilet when you're finished, right? Maybe use a plastic bottle that you have, Poland Spring in, fill it with what's in the toilet, and just, instead of even drinking it, just eat the whole thing together, because that's what they're saying. But it's for climate change, so you can't question that. You have to just go along with it. As if the climate agenda wasn't enough as far as control the carbon footprint and all these other things that I've constantly been talking about over the years. No, it's not enough. They want you not only to never eat meat again, but they want you to eat their Soylent products and insects. And why not, while we're at it, they're probably sat in a room and they were like, what is the most disgusting thing we can get them to eat? Well, let's get them to, like the fear factor. Let's get them to eat bugs. We'll convince them that the climate's a problem. We'll convince them that having a hamburger is bad versus eating a cockroach. You think they'll buy it? Oh, they'll buy it. They'll buy anything. Did you see what just happened with the outbreak? Oh, right. Good point. What else do we got? Anybody? Yeah, how about we have them eat plastic? Plastic. Like just a plastic container? Yeah, why not? We'll tell them it's a protein shake. We'll dump some pieces of plastic. I mean, it's not like they haven't been putting plastic in our food for quite some time. Of course they have. But now, why hide it anymore? Right? I'm sure you're all familiar with the fact that they put plastic in our food, but they don't want to hide this anymore. They want to just say, you're going to eat plastic. And eventually it will, as you see the word bacteria, it will be feces. Why? Well, they want you to live the way they live. This is what, your rich and elites do. They bathe in feces, they eat it, and they eat pretty much everything, that comes out of the human body, including organs. But this is one of the more absurd things that you'll see published, where scientists are actually telling you, listen to this, that they want you to eat food made from plastic. Listen for yourself.
You've heard of plant-based protein powder, but what if the next alternative was made out of plastic? There's new research that could make it a reality.
All right, Stacey Delacat talked to a scientist about the process that could help fight hunger and pollution.
Food shortages are worsening around the world, and the plastic pollution crisis continues to intensify. What if there was one solution to both of these problems? A Michigan scientist thinks there could be.
What we're trying to do is to use microbes to take plastic and other inedible plant material and turn that into something that's nutritious.
The idea is to turn components of plastic into protein and other nutrients like fats and sugars. If that sounds kind of gross to you, well,
I don't want to eat plastic either. What we're trying to do is to take that plastic and turn it into something completely different.
Steve Techman, an environmental microbiologist and an associate professor at Michigan Technological University, and his colleagues were just honored with a more than $1 million Future Insight Prize from a German company that will allow them to delve deeper into their research. Techman says their process works by using microbes to break down the plastic completely.
In the end, all we're left with are microbial cells. And those cells are made up of a lot of the same things in the food that we eat: proteins, lipids, sugars, and vitamins.
Techman says the resulting cells, once dried out, are a powder resembling brown sugar. And he says the full conversion takes just about a day.
which I think is pretty exciting because plastics in the environment can take years to break down. And so the fact that we can break plastics down in a day is pretty cool, I think.
It'll likely be a few years at least before turning plastic into protein or other food becomes a reality. And even when it does, the scientists say they envision that the end product is going to be used for something more like emergency food rations than something you would find on the grocery store shelves. In Manhattan, I'm Stacey Delicat, Fox 5 News.
So Stephen Techtman wants people to eat plastic. Biologist Stephen Techtman. Well, Stephen, I'd like you to come to my front door and tell me to eat plastic, because then I will proceed to find the nearest plastic container I have, and I will shove it right down your throat, and I will watch you eat it right on my front doorstep. And then when it's over with, well, I can't tell you what I do after that, Stephen, because I might get into trouble. But Stephen, ladies first, Stephen, why don't you go boil up some plastic, some bacteria from, bodily fluid, wherever you want to get the bacteria from. Somebody's vomit. Go ahead. I'm sure you like that. And let us all see how that works out for you. So Stephen Techtman isn't imagining anybody chowing down on Funko Pops, but rather plastic in a safer, palatable way. Powder from you could swig after a grueling iron session at the gym. So here's Vice pushing this and normalizing it, right? Well, it's not like eating a plastic container. It's not like eating a Funko Pop. It's just like a power protein. You won't be able to see it because we'll break down the plastic so much. We'll grind it into submission where it's not visible to you. But it'll still have the same effects as if you ate a plastic container that was sitting on the side of the street, an empty water bottle. It'll still have the same effect on the insides of your body, which will, kill off your organs and your insides. Unbelievable, the nerve of these people. Chugging down a plastic-derived protein powder for gains said it would come with an unexpected ecological advantage, fighting the rise tide of plastic waste. That's what we're all thinking about. Don't worry about inflation. Don't worry about gas prices. Don't worry about everybody losing their mind. Don't worry about freaks trying to go into the schools and teach children about their sexual preferences and all this other disgusting, ridiculous stuff. Don't worry about that. And don't worry about the food shortage. Don't worry about the fact that our government is deliberately creating droughts. Our government is shutting down farmers, paying farmers to burn their crops. Don't worry about it because they have a plan in place. The plan isn't to possibly engineer storms so that crops could be watered or even to just get, systems in place where during droughts, farmers can water their crops, irrigation, et cetera. No. The plan is to break down plastic containers, which look so attractive, that are covered in mud, and to get it into your food. Plastic pollute, and you'd be doing a good thing for the environment. And as the World Economic Forum tells us over and over again, that's what's really important, right? Those who got vaccinated, they did the right thing. They even tell you that they were studying and watching people's behavior, seeing who complied, who was being a good citizen, right? Because if you went and got the vaccine, even though it doesn't work, you're a good person. Well, if you eat plastic, you're a good person, right? If you set yourself on fire, I'm sure they'll consider you a good person. I mean, that's how insane this is. And people are like, okie dokie, where's the local gasoline station? I'm going to pour some on me right now. And then while it's all occurring, they'll still be like, I don't know what I'm doing, but they told me it was the right thing. Keep going. Keep listening to the mainstream media. Keep listening to Vice. Keep listening to, all these people who call themselves scientists, are these the sickest people that have ever existed? Think about it. This guy is spending his time figuring out ways that he can convince people to eat plastic. That's what he's doing. Has there ever been a study that shows that eating plastic is good for you? No, there isn't. In fact, the opposite is good. This is what it says, what plastic could do, right? And we know that they've experimented with plastic in food. People find it all the time, but they'll never take accountability for it because the FDA doesn't do anything except put it in the food. So plastic pollution is a colossal problem worldwide. According to the United Nations Environment Program, humans have been creating plastic waste more than ever since the early 2000s, with about 400 million tons generated annually. I love how they blame it on humans. Humans have been creating plastic waste. Meanwhile, all these massive corporations and companies have been selling their products in plastic. And then you tell us to recycle it or whatever to do with it, and then you blame us for it as if we made plastic in our basements and we're like, I got plastic, you want plastic? We're all passing plastic around. Everything plastic comes from these massive companies. But it's our fault, again. So now that we've done that, we've generated all of this waste by, drinking water of a plastic bottle and then putting it in a recycle bin. Because of that, now we need to eat it too. These people, I'll tell you. They say much of the waste circulates our waterways and oceans, where there are literal garbage patches rivaling the size of Texas. While cleaning up is doable and there are various organizations engaged in the task, it's not without its challenges. Both in terms of scale and recyclability, only 9% of plastic waste actually gets recycled. Much of that has to do with how labor intensive and expensive the process is. Right, so if it's so expensive and labor intensive, let's just make it more labor intensive so we could just eat it. Then you can process it in our food. Plastic's worth also degrades with time and with each reuse, making new plastic cheap. So isn't it interesting, like the same people, the same suckers that we live amongst? You have climate change and you have the pro-vax people, right? You can almost guarantee without hesitation that 100% of people who support climate change are also 100% fully vaxxed or fully support it, right? Isn't it amazing how it works with being a sucker? How you believe anything the mainstream media tells you? How you like to be a good person in your own mind, but in reality you're being a bad person and you're hurting others more than you'll ever know, because by complying with this stuff and pushing this stuff, then you're pushing it onto us and you're trying to get us to poison ourselves. I mean, blood's going to be on people's hands here. Even with things like this, with the climate, which is the next thing. This is Agenda 2030 happening right now. Stories like this, convincing you of carbon taxing, convincing you of giving up your freedoms because we are all in this together, right? They have to create something so that everybody can go, well, we're all in this together. That's how the alien invasion will play out too. Well, we're all human, so we all have a reason to stick together. Oh, well, we're all human. We all breathe. So we all have to do our part. And that means, well, it's tough. You don't have privacy anymore. You don't have rights anymore. And you're not allowed to go see grandma, up the road if you've already exceeded your carbon for the week. That means if you went to the mall and the movies, that was us letting you out of prison for the day. Rest of the week, you're in jail. Have fun. Get on your Zoom call for work. Everybody's making the same amount of money. Welcome to climate change, the real agenda behind it. So they want you to eat plastic, folks, for the climate. In reality, these people can eat it, literally can eat it. These people are just unbelievably sick, unbelievably pathetic, and the things they come up with that people buy into is unbelievably sad. What's next? Well, I said it earlier. Next up, I'm telling you it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's happening tomorrow or this year, but at some point, you're going to start seeing this stuff with feces, because this is how they live. If you read any books on the occult and the things that they do in these secret societies with feces, and it's a lot of it's sexual, it's disturbing. They're going to normalize it. I said that about the blood, right? The blood facial. I said it about kids putting them in these programs, what their end game is for kids. Look how much this stuff has continued to progress. This will be the next thing. Oh, it stops wrinkles. Oh, it tastes good. Oh, it's good for the environment. And these people, like brain dead zombies, will comply and agree and call you a horrible person if you don't want to eat or drink your own urine. So plastic and bacteria, folks, that's how we're going to combat climate change and the food shortage. The deliberate food shortage, of course, because suddenly we can't grow food anywhere. But then when you read between the fine line, read the fine print and see what's happening in places like New Zealand and Switzerland and all these other countries, you say, oh, wait a minute, what's going on there? Oh, they're telling the farmers that they're taking over their land, and if they grow crops, they're going to jail. Oh, nothing to be suspicious about. Nothing. What's going on with the trains? Oh, they're not delivering fertilizer anymore. Isn't that important because we eat food? Yeah, nah. What are they doing over there? They're burning their crops. Why? Well, because of COVID. Oh, they're burning their crops because of COVID. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Isn't food, like, we should be more worried about food and water having that than we should about catching the common cold? Oh, no. Don't worry about food and water. The cold's more important. We'll burn the food and the water, and we'll just, drain out the sources of water. Don't worry about that, because most people don't realize they need food and water to live. Oh, right. Good point. Welcome to Zombie Land, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you for being here. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. God bless all of you and your families.